I'm going to make this because someone just left me a comment asking about Ephesians 2:8. It's the big, everybody fights over this thing, man. So for grace ye are saved through faith, and not of yourselves. It is a gift of God. For the grace is be saved, sozo verb, dia, through the piston, faith, and tauto, this, uk, not out, amon, yourself, God, the doron, the gift. Okay, now, what matters here, it all matters. But when you have a neuter pronoun in Greek, you got to figure it out. You have to ask yourself, what is the antecedent of it? And all of this is the antecedent. Now I'm going to show you and watch. All right, so this is Bill Mounts was the lead translator on the NIV Bible. He was the head guy. He knows Greek, say the least. And he's one of the translators on the ESV Bible. So I don't always agree with Bill Mounts, but he would agree that I don't always agree with him, and it's okay. Because this guy says what I say all the time. That what matters is the idiom, culture, figure of speech, customs, all that stuff. That's where you really dive into the Greek. And that's where the scholarly work begins. But now, so then he will be the first guy to tell you sometimes he don't know, because it's hard to figure out what was in the mind of an ancient Greek sometimes. But let me read you what he says. So Paul writes, for grace you have been saved through faith, pistis, and this, tauto, the neuter, not of yourself. It's a gift of God and the works that you, so that you can't boast. This is one of the many passages to show that salvation is not based on what we do, but rather salvation is an unearned gift. Among other things, this means that no one can boast, blah, 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 blah. Emphasize our faith, not ourselves, a gift of God. Okay. The problem with that exegesis is saying that the problem with that exegesis of the verse is that this is a neuter pronoun and faith is a feminine noun. Let me show you. So that this, so tautos is neuter, okay? And grace is feminine, and faith is feminine. Faith, feminine. You see the feminine ending right there. Okay. Now, but also, that's a verb, and verbs do not decline. So, faith is feminine, grace is feminine. While a pronoun's case, whether it's subject, dative, indirect object, is determined by the function of the sentence, its gender and number, singular, determined by the antecedent. Okay. Okay, so that, okay, I'll just move on and then I'll explain it more in a minute. Therefore, this, the tauto, cannot be referring back to faith. Hang on. Hang on, free will people. He ain't done. But grace also is feminine. So it cannot be the antecedent of tauto by itself. So what is? If you look backwards for the antecedent, you will look in vain. There are neuter nouns, but they make no sense as the antecedent. Now, I'm not sure I agree with that. So the answer is to know a little Greek. When Greek wants to refer back to a general though, that's a spelling error, man. He missed to say thought. And he misspelled another word in here too. When Greek wants to refer back to a general thought, perhaps a phrase perhaps a phrase. Yeah, it can be a phrase. The pronoun can be neuter. It's often neuter, Mr. Mounts, I think. So the pronoun can be neuter. So when you have a neuter pronoun, that neuter pronoun will refer back to a general thought as the antecedent. This is not of yourselves does not refer specifically to faith, not specifically, but rather to the entire salvific process, of which faith is obviously a part. It is the entire salvific process that is God's grace and gift. So there you just heard it from the head translator of the NIV Bible. It's not specifically grace or specifically faith. It's the whole thing. It's the whole thought. That's the antecedent. What am I doing? For grace you have been saved through faith. For grace you have been saved through faith. That's the antecedent. That's the salvific process. Saved by grace through faith. So it's the antecedent is this. And it's this, not that. And this grace through faith is not of yourself. It's the whole thing. So it's not me. It's not just me saying it. We got the lead translator for the NIV saying that's the antecedent, the whole thing.